time, Nancy.
Shazam! In Shazam, it were this brother and sister. They were twins, Chuck and Nancy. And they found this ring. They found out when they put the rings together and said the words that were on the ring, which was Shazam. Shazam! The ring would conjure up a genie. So then the genie said to them, in the main title sequence, you have to return this ring to its rightful owner, and then everything will be great. So he sends them into this parallel universe to try to find this ring's owner. So then on this mission of the children trying to return the ring, they get in all this trouble. They get to this point where they call Shazam. He comes on and he's the ultimate power that cannot be stopped and thinks it's funny.
He was just a big mean genie, and I guess the only reason he let the kids live is because they had the ring.
But it also sounds to me like somebody thought, wouldn't you, if you were a kid, wouldn't you dream of having this big genie friend who could do anything and make your life wonderful? It's actually not a bad idea in itself.
Shazam presents them with Kaboobi.
Now, in order to complete that mission, he gives them a flying camel.
The flying camel goes, that's all he said. Well, of course, a flying camel when he opens his mouth.
Kaboobi!
If you listen to Kaboobi, and if you're listening to Kaboobi, you've got problems. But if you listen to Kaboobi's voice, it's Don Messick doing like a pre-Scooby-Doo babble.
For sky demons, I offer the sky's fury.
The problem with Shazam was he was all-powerful. He was too powerful. And the writers obviously had a lot of problems figuring out ways that there could be any suspense, because you've got this character who can do just about anything.
Look out, Shazam!
Just what I need to tame you, evil hunter.
The popularity of that cartoon is in the repetition. The fact that you can summon something, that a kid can get into trouble, and then you put the rings together, and something appears that will help you out of a jam.
I think magic rings are everywhere in fiction, so it's just a primal, simple fantasy you have.
Shazam!
They had that idea the kids could put it together, so there was a certain unity of purpose. The kids couldn't summon Shazam if they couldn't put the rings together, so that was kind of a gimmick to have them get in trouble.
Looks like we need Shazam. Ring time, sis.
That was when I became aware as a kid about how badly cartoons were paced. Like they'd have an initial skirmish with a villain, and the genie would show up and solve the problem, and then they would fly off. Well, we don't need Shazam now. Oh yeah, well the bad guy's mounting an even bigger attack, and now you're really screwed. Now you have to call the genie at the end of the cartoon. So you call the genie in twice. And why? I mean, Shazam, this guy's giving us trouble, and more than likely, he'll show up again later on in the cartoon. Can you just turn him into a pillar of salt right now? Done, little master. Zoom. And then, I don't know, they could go home.
Thanks, Shazam!
Now, all this stuff that this genie could do, and he couldn't get the kids home. It was one of those open-ended series where it's like, these kids aren't going to get home. They're never going to get home. They're just going to go, and they're going to go right back to the first episode where they found the ring and they didn't get home. Are you kidding me? It's like, I just, it made me crazy.
Will he ever find his island, Shazam?
I doubt it.
When Alex Toth designed a show, it worked. No matter how bad the premise was or how bad the scripts were, he just had a way of distilling the line work down and making something so credible that you bought it. You just watch these shows to watch his characters move around.
Well, I'm a graphic novelist, so Alex Toth is a guy that I studied. And definitely his influence came into that and just brought kind of a robustness to the characters. Also in Shazam, you'll see he would draw the mustaches on top of the nose. It would come from out here and down. Not because it was more accurate, but because it was a better design. So he kind of had that, it was like a 50s design sensibility that he brought to the character.
Probably people remember the design of them more than they remember the show. The designs, really lent themselves to that planned animation feel.
To whirl together!
And there's times where Hanna-Barbera would have to cut corners so much that it really started showing in the production. I always thought it was brilliant where there's that flying camel. And the camel flies, and they never would spend the animation frames to get it to do a full turnaround. So in the air, it would fly off screen this way, and then they go, let's go back that way! And they would just fly back across the screen that way. They just kind of flipped the animation cells, and that was all it needed. I just think they're there to tell a story, and you forgive them for some of the shortcuts they had to take to pull it off, because the purpose of television animation wasn't to make great animation. They were storytellers.
Okay, So I made a mistake.
Would you rather not have a show with a flying camel in it? I dare say we'd be culturally starved without the flying camel.
So long, Shazam!